7:15, we have team coverage here on 10 TV News this morning of a mass shooting in New Albany. Jay Plyburn is there on the scene with the latest.
Tracy, good morning. Here in New Albany, this is the site of yet the latest mass shooting. This happened about 10:30 last night. The suspect, Bruce Reginald Foster III. To give you an idea of where we are, we're just north of 161 on Beach Road. This area was blocked off for a while this morning and overnight as they searched for the suspect. They are now allowing traffic to pass through the area, but that search still continues at this hour. There have been a whole team of reporters covering this over the past few hours. I want to bring in 10 TV's Kara Lake. She is one of the people who's gotten some information. What do we know at this hour about the suspect?
Yeah, when it comes to Bruce, we know that he is 6 foot tall, 175 pounds. He has brown hair and brown eyes. We also learned this morning, about an hour ago, that they have a warrant out for his arrest, but at this time, he's still not in custody.
And we know that there was a location in Columbus that police were searching. They actually swarmed the area a couple hours ago. We're thinking now that may have been a previous residence of his.
Yeah, so our photographer and I, we were there this morning. We got called to that area about 3 o'clock, and that was just swarmed with Columbus police. Columbus SWAT was actually called in, but we're told that that might have been a previous address for him. So when they cleared that area, we cleared that area. And again, still a very stark contrast when you see these white picket fences around New Albany. You just think of safety. So it's just so heartbreaking to know what happened here this morning.
We should point out that this scene is much less active now than it was a couple hours ago. Some law enforcement appear to be leaving this area, but this was crawling with first responders over the past few hours since everything started around 10:30 last night. We also want to let you know there is a news conference happening here in about 15 or 20 minutes, so we hope to get much more information on this suspect and what might have led up to that shooting that happened here at KDC 1 in New Albany. We will let you know once we have that fresh information. We'll send it back to you in the studio, Tracy.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get over to Carla Rogner. She's live at Mount Carmel East. She's been there for the past couple of hours. We know that is where the injured were taken. Carla.
Yeah, Tracy, we do know that one person died and five people survived and were taken here to Mount Carmel East for treatment at the trauma center, but we don't know how they're doing at this hour. We're still waiting for an update from police on their condition. We've been here all night as families of those loved ones have been coming here to check on their loved ones who were at the warehouse last night and were shot. One of them tells us that they know that their brother-in-law went to work last night for his overnight shift, and then they got a phone call that he'd been shot. That was all that they knew when they pulled up to the hospital this morning. Of course, they were very shaken up, scared, as you can imagine, waiting to go in and see how their brother-in-law was doing. I did just check in, and I'm waiting to hear an update to see if they can share any more information with us. But of course, very emotional for families coming here today, and a lot of questions about what exactly unfolded at the warehouse last night. We do know that at least two of the victims were employees. They're just from speaking with family members here at the hospital, but we're still waiting to find out exactly what happened, what led up to the shooting, if the victims know the shooter, and most importantly, how they're doing this morning being treated here at the hospital. Tracy?
All right, Carla, thank you for that update. And as we get more information, we will keep you, our viewers, updated on what's happening out there. You also want to make sure that you download our 10 TV News app. It's free. Put that on your phone, your streaming device. We'll monitor the situation in New Albany. Again, that breaking news of a mass shooting there. We'll monitor that and keep you posted on new information as we get it. As we continue to follow this breaking news this morning out of New Albany, just to remind you of what has happened if you are just joining us. One person is dead. 5 other people were injured out of this. Again, taken to Mount Carmel East for treatment of their injuries. The search for the suspect is ongoing. Bruce Reginald Foster III. The search for him continues. 150 people were estimated to be working in this building, the KDC 1 facility, at the time of the shooting last night at 10:30. That is a personal care products manufacturer there. If you have any information about what has happened, about the location of Bruce Reginald Foster III, call New Albany Police, 614-855-1234. We will update you as we are going to hear from authorities in about 20 minutes. 10, 20 minutes on the latest there of what's happened in New Albany, and we'll continue to cover that. We'll get that news conference for you as well. Let's also focus on the forecast, our 10 weather impact alert. Today, Dylan Robichaud with some specifics on this tonight.
Yeah, all day long, we're looking pretty dry. I'm thinking between 7 p.m. and 9 o'clock this evening, we'll get some light freezing rain moving in.
Okay.
So some ice on some elevated surfaces. Think about bridges, think about overpasses. And then we're going to see the freezing rain switching over to plain old rain as we head past midnight. I'm not expecting widespread travel impacts on the roads in central Ohio because road temperatures are above freezing, but elevated bridges could be looking at some ice developing later on. So again, obviously not looking at any snow, a little bit of ice and some travel impacts from that. We're not looking at any wind or anything like that, also not expected. As we head towards 8 o'clock this evening, again, the purple on the map, that is that freezing rain. Notice that as you head north and east of I-70, we're not really looking at much, but these darker orange blotches that you see from Coshocton up to Mount Vernon, these areas north of I-70 could be looking at some actual ice accretion, whereas areas down to the south, you guys just warm up so quickly that I'm not expecting much in the way of ice. Now, as we get past midnight, look off down to the southwest. Now we're getting in on some heavy downpours. You know, before the sun comes up tomorrow, could be a flash of lightning, could be a rumble of thunder. As we head towards sunrise, we kick this to the curb. By 6 a.m., this is already winding down. So if you wake up late in the morning, you know, you'll be like, what storm? Because a lot of it's actually going to happen as we head overnight tonight. Now, let's take a look at potential ice accretion. And this is not enough. Definitely not enough to bring down trees and power lines. You need at least a half of an inch. We're looking at a few 1/100ths of an inch of ice out there. So I'm not worried about that. As we get a look at potential rainfall, latest model data that we got within the past 60 minutes has actually been bringing down forecasted rainfall totals. So before we were thinking, hey, you know, we're looking at this data, I'm thinking we might be talking an inch plus in the metro. Clearly now, as we're getting closer to the event, that's no longer the case. We're going under a half of an inch here in the metro area. But you will notice that some areas down to the south in that blue, like MacArthur, like Jackson, could be looking at over an inch. So some of you guys do get some pretty good rainfall out of this when all is said and done. As we get a look right now at that extended forecast, we are going to be tracking that 10 weather impact this evening. You'll notice that the daytime hours tonight will be dry and uneventful. It's not until 7, 8, and 9 o'clock that we get any precipitation moving into the area. Tomorrow, some rain in the morning. The sun comes out in the afternoon, and look how warm it gets heading into Thursday with a high near 60 degrees. Now, as we get a look at our next storm coming in by Saturday, this too will start off as a little mixed precipitation and then go to all rain as we head towards Saturday afternoon as we get some milder air feeding into the system. Sunday and Monday, we're looking at partly the mostly sunny skies. And then models are indicating we could potentially see a little snowfall by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. The jury is still out on the timing of that. But of course, as things get into clearer focus, we'll have a better idea. Right now, though, it is time to check in with Amy. Amy, how's the roads looking?
Generally, roadways looking pretty good. We are still watching, of course, that scene out in New Albany, asking drivers to avoid that beach road area. Both directions expect to encounter crews between Innovation Way and Jug Street. It is still open. Traffic is being let by over there, but just be mindful it might be slow, and there are still first responders on scene. Otherwise, across the metro, things generally moving along okay. Delaware County drivers, 23 northbound, a little bit slow over there, 32 miles an hour. As we take a look over on the west side, I-70 also moving in just fine, coming in from West Jefferson. 40 also looking good, 50 miles an hour in those westbound lanes. And as we get closer into the metro, 71 miles an hour in those eastbound lanes right near Hilliard-Rome Road. Live looks across the metro. There's your view on 70 right at Hilliard-Rome Road. Traffic starting to pick up over there. Still congested over here on 33 right at Gender Road. Canal Winchester drivers will have some company in those westbound lanes this morning. Upper right-hand camera shows you 71 coming in to the downtown area, starting to get busy as well. And then 33 out in Plain City, we are watching traffic pick up right near Post Road. Again, no major crashes right now, but of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on those roadways throughout the morning. And if that changes, we'll let you know. I'm going to send things to you, Tracy.
All right, Amy, thank you for that. Again, we are continuing to follow breaking news of a mass shooting in New Albany. We are just minutes away from a news conference at the scene. We're going to bring that to you live. But just a few hours ago, police did give an update on the situation. So if you are just joining us, this will get you up to speed on the many elements of this situation. Here it is.
This has been a very tragic situation. Our thoughts go out to the victims, their families, and everybody that works at this facility. This is something that we hope that would never happen in our community, but we prepare for it, and this is where we are now. To give you a little bit of background, it's a large building, and that at this point, we have 1 confirmed fatality. We have 5 that were transported to the hospital. Their conditions, I'm not able to comment on their conditions at this point. We have a person of interest, and we are working to locate them and bring them into custody. And again, this is quite a tragedy, and it's really a fluid situation and the investigation's really just begun.
Is the person of interest an employee?
I can't really comment at this point on that.
You said 5 people transported. Did that include the person who passed away?
No.
So 6 people with
6
gunshot
total.
wounds?
6 total.
With gunshot wounds?
Yes.
Okay, one of those.
Yeah,
6
and again, this is fluid, this is very preliminary information, so some of it might change as we learn more, obviously. It's a very large building, and we've just begun to really start the investigation.
Is the person who died an employee of the warehouse?
The person who passed away was in the building. Their identity has not been confirmed yet.
Are you able to share the ages of the victim or victims or the age range?
No, not at this point. We're still gathering information. They went to different hospitals. We have officers at those hospitals. At this point, our focus is on making sure that we have this building secure, that we're able to obtain the proper search warrants to search the location and get that investigative process started. But again, we have officers with all the victims, so we'll have that information hopefully soon.
Is this suspect believed to be in an area that would put other people at danger they should be aware of?
Again, this is very preliminary, but the person of interest, we believe we may know their location. We don't have any reason to believe that they are a general threat to society. More that it appears at this point to be a targeted type of attack.
Do you know if that person is armed?
The
person of interest.
The person of interest, we did recover a firearm at the scene.
What kind of firearm?
I really can't comment at this point, but I'll be able to provide that at a later time.
Any indication of where this person is now?
We do have a location. However, they are not in custody. We do not have them in custody, so I really can't add much more at this point. Just for the simple fact that we need to make sure they're in custody before we can comment anymore. For nothing else, for the officer's safety.
Do you know if this was a domestic violence related situation?
We don't have a motive at this point. No.
It seemed like there were a lot of people that were still inside the building, and they were getting them out. Can you talk about the process of getting all those people out and about how many people there were?
Yes. When we arrived, there were people that were self-evacuating the building, and then we have obviously a lot of people in the building. Some of them in the facility, the noise level is pretty high, so some people were unaware of the situation. Again, it's a large building, so we were able to muster everybody and take them to a neighboring building where they are all gathered now.
Have families of the victims or the employees that are being held been notified?
They all have, we have officers with them, so I don't know exactly. We haven't had time to notify the family of the injured or the deceased. We're working to do that now. As far as the people that have been taken to the other building, we're talking at least 150 people, and we have officers there working with them. I'm not sure where we are with that process. Again, it's a neighboring building. It's about 400 yards away.
Are any of those employees giving any information as to what they witnessed?
Yeah, there are witnesses that have provided information to us.
Can you explain where this took place in the warehouse? Was it in a very open space, a closed off area?
I don't have that information. I know that.
All right, we are going to go right out to New Albany right now, where there is a news conference with an update. The police chief and the mayor of New Albany now talking.
Oh, yeah.
get Chief real quick.
Okay, as you see, they are setting up. You saw just on camera there, Josh Poland, who is the public information officer there in New Albany. They are getting set for an updated news conference on what has happened there in New Albany. We know that the police chief, Greg Jones, will be there, as well as the mayor of New Albany. They are setting up. They will update us on what they've been able to learn in the span of 10 hours since this took place. Again, as we have told you, police are looking for Bruce Reginald Foster III. He has brown hair and brown eyes, and I am getting a cue that they are ready. They're talking.
Everybody ready?
Good. Good morning, everyone. Mayor Spalding here from the city of New Albany. I want to begin by expressing my deepest sympathies to the victims and their families affected by last night's tragic event at KDC-1. Our community is heartbroken, and our hearts go out to everyone that's been impacted. We are doing everything we can to support those involved, and we are so very grateful to the swift response of our law enforcement officials, partner agencies, responders, and the incredible team at Mount Carmel Trauma who helped many of the victims. We want to reassure our residents that we have multiple agencies working right now to apprehend the suspect. The safety and well-being of our community are our top priority, and we will continue to work closely with all agencies involved to ensure this situation is resolved as safely and quickly as possible. Now let me just say a thing or two about society today. You know, each and every day, each and every one of us leave our house, the safety and comfort of our home, and lend ourselves to the kindness of strangers. We live in a world that is dangerous, but we all hope that we can be treated with kindness and grace. We enter each day vulnerable and hoping for the best in others. And tragically, we don't always encounter others willing to meet our needs and expectations. We may never know the reason that drove this individual to undertake these horrible acts, but regrettably, this pattern is too common in our country, and we must do better. We must do more to support each other, to lend a hand to a friend or a colleague or a coworker who's clearly in need. But even then, we live in a country based on the rule of law, where we agree to a set of social norms in support of the greater good. And when individuals take matters into their own hands and disregard the law in our society, we must hold them accountable, and we will do so here. And with that, let me introduce Chief Greg Jones from the Albany Police Department.
To give you a little bit of background, the incident occurred about 10:30 last night. We received a call of a shooter. KDC is a light manufacturing facility, but it's a very large building. Upon arrival, first off, our officers were able to get here very quickly, and we are fortunate to have great law enforcement partners from Franklin and Licking County who responded as well, along with the fire department. Once we made entry into the building, again, it was a large building. We eventually found 6 victims. 5 of them were transported to the hospital. I can't release their condition at this point. The 6th victim was deceased in the building. The suspect, we had learned, had left the building or left the area before our arrival, or left the immediate area before our arrival. We quickly evacuated approximately 150 other employees to a neighboring building. And then again, with all of our local partners, not only other cities and counties, but our state partners and federal authorities immediately began to try to track the suspect down. We are doing so as we speak, and it's we hope to have news for you soon. Again, this is a tragedy that to be honest with you, I never thought we'd see in our community, and unfortunately, it's hit home. So we just want our community to know, and the community as a whole, that we're doing everything we can to bring this individual into custody, and also to ensure the safety of our citizens and the people that work in the community.
Chief, I know it's early. What are you able to say in terms of a motive here? Obviously, this is highly unusual in New Albany. A lot of concern about something like this happening. What do we know about what led this to occur?
Yeah, that's we don't have a motive at this point. From everybody we interviewed, which was quite a few people, obviously, a facility this size, there's no reports of any type of confrontation or any type of dispute that would have brought this about.
You said it was a targeted attack overnight. What leads you to believe that?
Because it was at his place of work. So all the victims, all of the people that were injured or the person that is deceased worked in the facility.
And I heard you correctly that the suspect did work here. Is that what you just
Correct,
said?
yes.
Do you know how long the suspect worked there?
We do not know that.
Do you know his exact position here?
No.
Is there any threat to the public at this hour?
We don't believe so. Like I said, I think that the suspect has left the area. We have information that is taking us to certain addresses that we are working to check and try to find him. And another thing too is that there was a weapon recovered at the scene. And we only received reports of one weapon.
And as far as you know, just the one shooter involved in the incident?
Correct. You know, and as you guys probably already know, when this originally happens, there's all kinds of reports that you receive. Originally, there was reported that there was 2 shooters. We were able to quickly determine that's not true.
If the shooter sees the coverage, what's your message to him?
To turn himself in. We have, New Albany sits in 2 counties. We have municipal jurisdictions, both sheriff's departments. We have state officials, the U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, all working to check these locations where he might be and to bring him into custody. And I would recommend that he turns himself in. I think it's going to be a matter of time before he's brought into custody.
Are you able to say if the victims are local?
No, I'm not able to say that. I'm not sure their address. We interviewed and we also ID'd all the people that work in the building that we evacuated. I can tell you that the person that is deceased is not local to New Albany.
This is a large facility. I know it's early in the investigation, but can you give us any sort of sense of how this took place? Was he scheduled to be at work? Did he come into an area he not normally is in? What do we know about this circumstance?
So he had been at work for some time when this occurred. We don't have any reports that there was any issue that he was in an area that he wasn't supposed to be, or he was in trouble in any way, or there was any conflict. We have not to say that there wasn't something, but after interviewing everybody we have and supervisors of the company, we don't have any reports of anything like that.
Any victim update?
What's that?
Any victim update right now?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't give that to you right now. We can follow up and provide that soon.
Can you provide any details on males, females, how many injured in regards to that?
As far as the victims go? No, I don't have that at this point.
Can you share information about the security at this building? What type of measures there are? Do people have to scan in? Are there, metal detectors when people go in the building?
I don't know the details that I can provide you. I know that we had to use key fobs and different ways of accessing different parts of the building. So I know there is a level of manual security, but I'm not sure of the details.
What else are you able to tell us about the firearm in this case? What type of weapon was it? Can you tell us more?
It was a handgun. I really can't go into it any further than that. And again, our partners at the federal government, ATF, has responded and are helping us track that firearm.
Can you provide any updates on the suspect search? I know there were several scenes earlier today. Can you talk about that any further?
As far as the suspects look, yeah. So we, we had addresses that we thought the suspect might be at, and that our officers and our partners went to those addresses, checked those addresses, obtained search warrants, and the ones that we've checked so far, that we've not been able to find him. But right before we had this press briefing, we even received more information about some other addresses that we can check.
Was there witnesses that saw him leave, or camera footage that saw him leave? There's a lot of massive buildings here.
Yeah, there is camera footage, and we know how he left the building. So there's camera footage of quite a bit of his entrance and leaving the building.
Have you talked to leadership here at all? What are they saying? Do they know anything about this suspect?
They had a manager, actually a supervisor and a manager here, and I can't, at this point, I can't release details of what they, their characterization of him as an employee. But they did say that nobody here noticed any type of confrontation or anything that one might expect that triggered this.
And this is in the end of his shift?
What's that?
This is the end of his shift or middle of his shift?
No, this was, he had been there for several hours. I'm not sure when his shift ended, but he had been there for several hours before this occurred.
How are you doing, Chief?
Good. You know, it's been a long night, but I'll tell you, it's not me. It's particularly having to break the news to a family member of the family that lost somebody last night, and to the staff who I'm sure is traumatized, and to all the police and fire staff that have been out here all night working on this. So, but they're doing a great job, and they're truly professionals.
The staff at this facility, have they been allowed to go home, and how are they doing?
Yeah, so the facility's closed. It's a crime scene. Right now it's a large facility, so it's going to take, I don't know, it could be like 12 hours before this scene is actually processed. We have BCI, and they brought out a tremendous amount of staff and resources to help process the scene. But the facility's closed, and it will be for some time. And as far as the employees go, I'm not sure how the company notified them not to come into work. Yeah, as I said, about 150 people were working in there, so I'm not sure how many they expected to come in the next shift.
A question for the mayor. You both mentioned that this was a tragedy you never thought you would see in this community. How do you believe that the community will rally together during this time of struggle?
Yeah, in New Albany, we're a very tight community, and everyone will bond together in a tragic situation like this. No one wants to have these types of mornings. And, I know an email went out to the school community this morning before students even got on the bus, talking about the situation, but also reaffirming that we're doing everything we can to make sure our community is safe. And I have a lot of faith in our community pulling together in this tragic situation.
Do you plan on releasing any video footage from this area soon, or suspect vehicle information?
So the suspect didn't drive, so and I really can't tell you his mode of transportation at this point. I can't release that yet, but there was not a suspect vehicle that we were looking for at the time. So we had a general description of a ride that he got, but the cameras, it wasn't of sufficient quality where we could get a plate, or if we can get things like a make and model.
Any clothes, anything that people would be able to identify him by this morning?
No, I can. There probably is. I'm sure that we released another law enforcement agency. I don't have that with me at this point. We can check.
So do you think that somebody helped him get away?
I don't know that anybody knowingly. I don't think at this point, again, this is a fluid situation. We're only hours into this, so it's hard to say. A lot of this information, as you know, can change, but we don't have any reason to believe that anybody was an accomplice by helping him get here or escape.
So you're saying he may have done this, ended his shift like nothing happened, got in the car and left? Is that kind of what you're getting at here?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm not sure how close to the end of his shift he was at, because I'm not sure what his shift was. But he had been here for several hours before this shooting happened.
And he walked out casually like nothing happened?
I don't know if I can characterize they're going over a tremendous amount of video, so I don't know that I can characterize or remember exactly how the manner in which he left. I'm sorry? Yeah, so before we were able to obtain a warrant for his arrest, we issued a cop alert through leads, which every law enforcement agency in the state of Ohio has access to, basically indicating that we were looking for this individual, information about him, and if you see him, obviously bring him into custody. But we're not taking not a passive way of handling this. We had several SWAT teams on the scene. We had, again, agencies from all levels of government, and they quickly deployed to addresses to try to locate this gentleman. As far as the other thing too is that, it was amazing on the number of agencies that responded, their level of professionalism. It really,
and we were able to put all of them to work. It's obviously a very large scene, and again, they did a great job. Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, you've been listening to a news conference there in New Albany involving Sloan Spalding, the mayor of the city of New Albany, and Greg Jones, who is the chief of police there. Some new information. Again, this is the mass shooting that happened at 10:30 last night. They got a call of a shooter. Upon arrival, they found one person dead, then 5 other people who were injured. They are telling us, the media, that they saw the suspect left that scene immediately. That suspect, Bruce Reginald Foster III, someone who worked there at the facility and apparently worked most of his schedule. Then they say the suspect, after the shooting, left that scene. They say they don't believe that there is a threat. They are tracking the suspect now. One other interesting note is it appears the suspect did not drive. The chief stopped short there, said he couldn't go much further than that. So that is certainly something that they will be investigating. BCI is there on the scene. The facility is closed for at least the next 12 hours as they are investigating it. It is now a crime scene. They are only looking for one person. There is no motive so far that they know of, and they don't believe there's a direct threat to the public. Investigators have involved federal authorities too, the U.S. Marshals Service, ATF also involved in this as they are looking for Bruce Reginald Foster III. So we are going to continue and work to get more information, including the latest on the condition of the folks who are at the hospital at Mount Carmel East. But again, that is the latest from this news conference, real high level from the chief of police, Greg Jones, and the mayor of New Albany, who also noted that families who have children in schools out there got a notice about what's happening there, just making sure everybody's alert and knows about the situation, reminding everyone that New Albany, a very close knit community out there, and that from the mayor's point of view, we have to do more to support each other. So we'll continue to work that scene and get you the latest information. I understand that we need to check in with Amy now. There is a breaking situation on the road.
Yeah, we are first of all wanting to just remind you that spot that our crews were just at, Beach Road, both directions, Innovation Way to Jug Street. Watch for crews over there. But yes, downtown, we do have a crash that is building with some backups. I-71 northbound just beyond Greenlawn Avenue. We've got multiple lanes over to the left blocked off. And you can see we've got you clocked going only 6 miles an hour as you're pushing into downtown over there. Those delays are building well past that 104 exit into the downtown area this morning. Let's give you the best look we can at this situation. If you take a look on the left side of your screen, those are the northbound lanes of 71, Greenlawn Avenue. This is where that crash is at, a little bit further off camera over there. And then this is a little bit further south of that. And you can see those backups still continuing to build here this morning. So again, I-71 northbound into downtown, just past that 104 exit. Expect to encounter a crash. I'd add a couple minutes to your drive if you're coming in from the south side using 71 northbound this morning, as this is what you will run into coming in. 161 out in New Albany is in that upper right-hand camera. You can see traffic is not impacted on the freeway, on the interstate over there, right at that 62 exit. It's just a little bit north off Beach Road that you will encounter those emergency crews still working to clear that scene here this morning. We're going to keep an eye on that downtown crash and let you know if anything else does pop up. But for now, I'm going to send things back to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much. Dylan Robichaud here, because we also have some issues that we are anticipating in terms of weather. 10
TV weather impact alert has been issued for tonight. As we will be tracking the risk of some freezing rain, let's go ahead and hop right into this, as we will be looking at that winter weather advisory. We are tracking some light freezing rain tonight. We're not expecting any wide-scale major impacts on the roads, as roadway temperatures are still too warm, but there will be some icy bridges and overpasses. Winter weather advisories have been issued here for basically all of central Ohio until about 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. When you wake up tomorrow, though, we're going to be nice and mild, so I'm not expecting you to wake up to ice or anything like that. Definitely not looking at any snow, just a little light glaze of ice, and that will give us some low-grade travel impacts heading into tonight. Let's walk you through the hour by hour. So this is 8:30 p.m. This is about 12 hours from right now. from south to north, from Piketon up to Chillicothe. The purple on the map is that freezing rain. By midnight, that's when we flip the switch. Look what happens, all right? We got all the rain down to the south. Temperatures are above freezing down here. Up here, we are still below freezing. That's why we have that freezing rain. As we get towards 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, now we're getting some downpours by about sunrise. I'm thinking by about 5, 6, 7 o'clock. This is already out of here. So most of your day on your Thursday is actually looking pretty dry, and we will be looking at some light ice accretion when all is said and done. How much? Not a whole lot, maybe a few 1/100ths of an inch, if that. And this is actually maybe jumping the gun a bit out towards Zanesville, out towards Cambridge, but still just enough to coat some of those tree limbs and maybe some of those power lines. By the way, speaking of that, I'm not expecting any down trees or down power lines. You need at least a ½ inch of ice to get that. We're not anywhere near that. So again, I don't want to hype this up and give it more than what it's worth because I don't really think that this will end up being a big deal. Rainfall, though, highest as we head off to the east here. Cambridge and New Lexington looking at some very high rain totals when all is said and done heading into tomorrow morning. And as we get a look right now at the 7-day forecast, looking at your day planner for today, temperatures in the middle end of the 30s. The next 12 hours, by and large, we're looking relatively dry. We do drop down a bit here as we head towards 9 o'clock in the evening tonight. Tomorrow, though, we wake up and we're not really looking at a whole lot in the afternoon, but it's more so in the morning as you head off to the bus stop. You might need the umbrella as we will be tracking some showers. Take a look at this, though. Thursday afternoon, if you're trying to get in that walk, have at it. I mean, things are looking pretty good. Heading into your Saturday, take a look at this right here, though, tracking another system, and we get stuck in the same conundrum. Starting off, a brief window of freezing rain, and then we switch it to all rain heading into Saturday evening and Saturday night. Sunday and Monday, we're looking pretty dry. By Tuesday, we're tracking some winter weather as we could have a few snow showers, perhaps a light accumulation. That is still a week away. And of course, as we head into the next few hours, we'll go and get more model data, and we'll go ahead and update the forecast for the ice tonight on 10 TV News starting at noon. Tracy?
Thank you so much, Dylan. We are continuing our coverage of the mass shooting there in New Albany. We want to get to Mount Carmel East. That is where 10 TV News reporter Carla Rogner has been as we are waiting to get information on the people who are injured. Carla.
Yeah, Tracy, you know, we were hoping to get some more information on the victims at that press conference just a few minutes ago, but police said they still can't share their conditions at this time. But we do know when police got to that scene last night, when they went into the warehouse, they found 6 people had been shot. One of them, unfortunately, was dead. They passed away at the scene, but 5 of them were taken here to Mount Carmel East. Again, we don't know how serious their conditions are at this time. Police also tell us this morning that all of those victims actually were employees at the warehouse. The suspect was too. They tell us he was there for his shift. They did say that there were no reports of any altercations or anything that would serve as a motive for that shooting. So it's still unclear again how this all unfolded. We've been here since that shooting last night. We've had crews at this hospital speaking with family members as they've gone in to check on their loved ones. One of the family members said their loved one is their brother-in-law. He was working at his job last night doing an overnight shift. They got word then late last night after the shooting that he'd been shot. They came here to check on how he was doing, and as they were going into the hospital, they still didn't know his condition. So we are hoping, you know, as the day goes on, that we'll get some more information about how they're doing. Police did also share that they're speaking with managers, trying to get some more information about the suspect, his role at the warehouse. They couldn't share that with us, but, you know, trying to piece together exactly what happened. The families that were heading to the hospital this morning had as many questions as we do. So hopefully we'll get some more information soon. Tracy?
All right. Thank you so much, Carla Rogner over at Mount Carmel East. We want to go back to Jay Plyburn. Jay, you heard this news conference, a lot to unpack there. Headline, though, is that police are still looking for the suspects, Bruce Reginald Foster III.
That is the big story right now, Tracy, that they are continuing to search for that shooter. opened fire here at KDC-1 in New Albany about 10:30 last night. We've confirmed that one person is dead, at least 5 people injured and taken to the hospital. As you just heard from Carla a minute ago, there is an active scene out here still. Media from all over the state have descended on this area, reporting on this mass shooting from overnight. I can move out of the way to show you what the scene looks like now. A stark contrast from what we saw a little bit ago when there was just flashing lights all over the place. Still plenty of first responders on scene. You just can't see them as well because they've kind of tucked in closer to that building, which is now an active crime scene. Some questions were asked about what the employees there do now. Well, this place is closed because it is a crime scene now as they continue the investigation. We were told that, again, the suspect, Bruce Reginald Foster III, was an employee here, and he did work a normal shift yesterday. We don't know exactly what time his shift started or what time his shift was supposed to end, but he was working here when he opened fire in one of these buildings last night around 10:30. They said he then left the building. Now, there was no vehicle description given. They kind of made it seem like someone might have picked him up. They did not reference this person as being an accomplice, but said he did get a ride away from here. So we don't know. Maybe he just hopped in a car with somebody else, or they're not naming an accomplice or saying that anybody else was involved at this point. We also know that there was no altercation that led up to this shooting last night. Again, this coming from the chief of police, who we heard from just a few minutes ago. No altercation. It didn't seem like there was anything out of the ordinary happening behind closed doors here at KDC-1 last night when this man decided to open fire. Again, if you know anything about this person, Bruce Reginald Foster III, call police immediately. They are actively searching for him. They do maintain that there is no threat to the public, but he is not in custody, so he is out there somewhere. They did recover a firearm from the scene that they believe was used in that shooting last night, so they don't think he's armed at this point, but they admit they don't actually know. We'll keep you posted as we get more information. For now, back to you in the studio.
All right, Jay Plyburn in New Albany. Thank you so much for that. We are going to continue our coverage and continue working to get you the newest information on this mass shooting in New Albany. We'll be right back after the break.